Hello and good evening. Welcome back to ESN and our coverage of the AWSCO Snapdragon Continental Series. We are live from Nashville this tonight for round two of the inaugural Continental Series. And let me just check the length of the race here. Oh, just for the Geodis 300 here, it'll be 226 laps from Nashville Speedway. Super Speedway. I'm joined here with Eddie. You there, Eddie?
I'm here. What's up? Hey, Roger.
Hey. And yeah, we're getting ready for this Continental Series race. The Cup Series is out running in Australia, so this is a standalone event at Nashville for these guys. How are you feeling about this race, Eddie?
I'm feeling good. It's unfortunate to know that a couple of my fellow Mid-Atlanticers didn't make the race, were knocked out in qualifying, but at this point, what can you do? Again, this race is really coming off the heels of probably the biggest story so far in AWSCO, which is well, maybe you could talk about the photo finish, but I'd rather keep my eyes on the dark horse penalty
Oh,
where
North
you could
Star,
really,
yes.
sorry, Dark Horse, that was North Star, I apologize. The North Star Motorsports story where all their drivers were penalized 25 points and fined a hefty sum for some qualifying shenaniganery that qualifies as cheating.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
those North Star cars were awfully fast in qualifying, and I think the officials found something they weren't particularly fond of after tearing the engines down, and that's why all three of those cars are in a bit of a points hole right now. All three of them did make Daytona, but none of them got particularly far, as did most of
all,
the field. To be fair, at Daytona, and I think we only have one of those cars that qualified in for this race
no,
because I know
I think
the 22, yeah, 22 and 51 didn't qualify.
Kathy Appleton Perez will, ironically, start on the outside pole today, and Rachel Ramos starting deep in the field, row 14. But yeah, Naomi Davenport, one of the drivers I talked about, and Stella Arcadia, either of them made it in this race. So already, uh, that decision by AWSCO officials making an impact on the team, as I'm sure they probably could have gotten a third or all four in if it hadn't been for the points penalty.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if there are any cars that double DNQ'd from the first couple of races. I know Rockwood finished last in the last race, and she DNQ'd for this race as well. So she's in a pretty decently sized hole right now.
I think another big story coming into this race is we look at the points. I know it ain't much. We've only been through one race, but the fact that Lulu Connie of RGB Racing currently sitting on the cut line for the playoffs. Again, I said it's early. Not in this race either. She was, uh, I guess, the first driver out of this race in qualifying, which means, well, no points out of this. That's not going to help her. It's not going to help her at all in the playoffs. But that means there are probably a couple of drivers who could realistically get some. All you really need is a good top 20 finish, and you can, put yourself in position to be a little less aggressive, a lot more stable in your position, and maybe feel good about your chances at yeah, a playoff spot much later in the season.
Yeah, I do think the drivers will be a little bit more conservative today, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of teams that are trying to make amends after the frankly cataclysmic Daytona race there. Not many cars were able to finish.
Nope. Um,
And yeah, so there's a lot of teams in a pretty big points hole early on. And I think you want to gain as many positions as you want, as uh, provisionals are going to be based on points position. And since there's nobody has any points position from like a previous season, everyone's going to be working off of a pretty small sample size, which is going to really affect those North Star cars even more, I think.
yeah, just and big. this is going to be an interesting race, I think, for all these uh, drivers because I think a lot of these drivers are new. A lot of them are young. I think something that people want to, especially owners or crew chiefs would want to instill into them is that like this is the first race where you really get to show your skills. Uh, Daytona Super Speedway again with the plates on is just a complete whole different beast. But Nashville, even though it is a super speedway, you can kind of show off a little bit more. Driving strategy can come more into play. Just think better. I think drafting will certainly help these drivers, and we could see drivers with maybe we see where people got real skill, and maybe we see where some drivers have none. And I think they're just gonna some of the owners just gonna tell their drivers like, listen, Daytona was a complete madhouse, but if you want to prove that you can get into the playoffs and then go win the dang championship, you can prove it here tonight to start.
Yeah, I agree. I think the most teams are going to be looking at this race as kind of the real barometer of where their cars and drivers are in terms of the pecking order performance wise. You mentioned that Daytona was a little bit of a madhouse, and yeah, the restrictor plate format tends to be an equalizing factor for all these teams. So I think a race like the one at Nashville here, I think will be a better look for these. Give teams a better look at how their equipment and how their drivers stand going into the rest of the season.
Um, I mean, I think the two drivers to watch out for. I mean, if we want to talk about it, are funnily enough, starting on the outside today, so maybe not in the best position, but when we had two drivers really show that they could survive, I guess is the best word I can say for that, and that's Katrin Edelstein and Freya von Lundqvist, who at least finished on the lead lap at the Daytona race, Echo Energy 300, um, which was again interesting in a little bit because Edelstein technically has the points lead over von Lundqvist, even though von Lundqvist won the race. No,
Yeah, and I believe
point
that's
system
a
that helped, but
yeah, I believe that's a
yeah,
function of the
but
lap sled points.
yep, but we look at that, but then we see with Edelstein on the outside at row 3, von Lundqvist on the outside row 6. Then you have drivers like Latanya Gray, Isabella Fitzmaurice, drivers who have a little bit of some name value around here. Starting on the inside, Serena Willis Callaway might be starting at row 12, but if Nashville is anything like any other speedway, the inside line is going to get a great jump. we
Yeah,
could
and
we could really see a lot of difference, and we could really see the two drivers that can say that they have a good points lead to start might not be much of an impact on this race.
yeah, and finally, we can also mention that a couple of drivers are making their first start here. Drivers like Krista Anderson, who didn't qualify for the Daytona race, are making their first start of the season. I believe you'll see other cars throughout the field like that. And I think the 82 and 84, that's Sandy Martel and Casper von Weber, respectively, making their first starts, as well as I think the
Looks Akuma.
24 is in
Uh,
the field.
yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah, the
believe the
24 in the
24
field.
is in the
That's
field in row 15. Big spots for a Lux Akuma who will be starting on row 7 on the inside. Super Speedway, one of the good places to start
mm,
is kind of inside front 10 rows is a really good place to be at. And for a driver with 0 points, you're only 20 behind the cut line, so it isn't total death, but you are going to need to catch up fast. Maybe
yeah,
we see a little bit of aggression out of Lux Akuma and Inverness Racing. We'll just have to see. And Inverness Racing, I mean, they've got Vinny Scholl in the top 5, but Izzy Borman is on the cut, is just above Lulu Kani on the cut line, and then you have Takamoto Aya, who's out of this race, and then Luke Sakuma. Yeah, that's gonna be very difficult, I think.
yeah,
Well, I don't want to say difficult, but I think Inverness Racing is definitely going to be a team that's going to have some very interesting strategies going on. Um, I don't want to say I don't, it's hard to say drivers to watch, but teams to watch, I'd say. Look out for those Inverness cars. Look out for the North Star cars, especially Ableton Perez being on the outside pole. Might be someone who will be fighting from the get-go to get out in front.
Yeah, and I think I want to mention Uberman Enterprise as well. They only had one car qualify at Daytona. That's why I wanted to mention Martel and Von Weber specifically, because their cars, they only had one car in the race, and Summers only lasted about 5 to 10 laps. Now we're getting the signal. I think the booth is ready to start the race. We'll take you over to them as we'll get to the starting lineup and all the rest of the race. All right, and welcome from Nashville Superspeedway. This 1 1/3 mile concrete oval makes the second race of the Continental Series season. The Cup guys are all in Australia, but the Continental Series doesn't leave the continent, hence the name. I'm joined here by Caleb Rose. Hello, Caleb.
Hello, Echo.
226 laps in this one. Gonna be a long race. Gonna be one that I think you're gonna want to manage your stuff here. But this track is very exciting. What do you expect out of this one early, and what do you think is going to be the winning strategy in this one?
With a lot of races in this series, it's going to be a race of attrition with it lasting so long. But Nashville, definitely a very interesting racetrack. It is called a super speedway, although it's more or less kind of a speedway. But yeah, it's fully paved with concrete, so naturally it is definitely very slippery compared to a lot of other tracks. And at the same time, it does really like to try and eat up your tires and everything, so you want to definitely try and manage your stuff. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this race plays out, but yeah, I think the winning strategy, like you said, is just going to be these guys that can manage their stuff well and just get this thing to the end.
Yeah, and a lot of interesting notes from this one. Obviously, we're coming off Daytona last week, where we saw just 7 cars finish the race. So I think a lot of these guys are going to be trying to, run this one out to the finish, maybe be calmer, maybe not try and push it as hard, just try and get some points. Alternatively, I think as well, what you might want to do, it's very, very cold. It's 31 degrees. We're below freezing here, which is quite astounding. Big cold fronts washed through this area recently, so the temps are very, very difficult for these drivers to manage. How do you think these cold temperatures are going to weigh on these guys?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be exciting to see how these temperatures affect the racing surface. Excuse me. These colder temperatures, they can cause tire pressures to decrease, so we'll have to see how that plays into effect, but it's going to make the... Excuse me, I just ate. But I think it should probably make the track a lot more slippery as well, so it should definitely be an interesting thing to watch out for with the track already being very, very slidey.
Well, let's take a look at our starting grid for this race. Everyone who missed the show at Daytona did qualify for this race. No double DNQs to start the season, so everyone gonna get some points to start the year off. Although, if you're a driver like Stella Arcadia or Naomi Davenport and you missed the show while having negative points, you're really in a hole, considering the penalties that were assessed to the North Star Motorsports teams. All right, here's your starting grid. In row 1, it's Alice Hageman, who starts on the pole. She got the point for qualifying up front, and she's alongside Kathy Ableton Perez, who's on the outside of the front row, has had that points penalty at Daytona, but she was the only one of those drivers that were in the negative points range that qualified for this race. Row 2, Latanya Gray, who found herself embroiled in a lot of controversy after the big one at Daytona last week, alongside the 7 of Reina Munoz, who finished 3rd. Row 3, Madison Estrada in the RGB Racing Honda, alongside the 14 of Katrin Edelstein, who was the runner-up. Row 4, Krista Andresen, who did not qualify for Daytona. She made the field, made it into the FanDuel Fast 10, in fact, and she's alongside Hieta Yoko. Row 5, the 38 of Isabella Fitzmaurice is alongside the 77 of Rose Lockport, another driver that missed the show at Daytona but made the FanDuel Fast 10. Row 6, it's Lori Ramirez and the 42 of Freya von Lundquist. Row 7, Lux Akuma and Casper von Weber, two drivers that missed the show last week. They made it this week, so they're looking to put on a bit of a show. Row 8, the 46 Shizzy Min, alongside the 5 was Zoe Quinton. Row 9, Lara Sundale, another driver that missed the show. They gave the command without waiting for me. Row 10, it's Isabella Smith and Jackie Kennedy. Row 11, the 54, Brenda Davis and the 16 of Leah Azelhart. In row 12, it's the 99, Karina Willis-Callaway alongside the 96 of Lynn Oswell. Row 13, Eli Ile alongside the 66 Jet Brackett. In row 14, the 2 of Rachel Ramos and the 82 of Sandy Martel, another driver that missed the show. And row 15, Ashley Johnson alongside Jennifer Wilson. Row 16, it's the 4 of Cassidy Jones and one of your drivers, Caleb, Abby Buchanan. Starting back in the provisionals, Vinny Schultz is in row 17 alongside Mayumi Moriyama. Row 18, it's the 95, Kara Reynolds, another one of Caleb's drivers, and Kate Summers. And in row 19 at the back of the field, Deborah Williams in the 55 and Izzy Overman in the 93. The Rimac fails on the grid, so I gotta back out.
Drivers, start your...
Drivers, to your cars.
We have received the command to begin racing here from Nashville, and it's a long race, Caleb. But who do you have your eye on here to start this one out?
Honestly, I think I kind of like where the 65 LaTanya Gray is starting. However, we do know LaTanya is a very aggressive driver, which can kind of play both ways here. Of course, like you said, this track can really eat up tires, so we'll have to see how hard LaTanya drives it here.
Absolutely. All right, Alice Hageman is on the front row on the pole alongside Ableton Perez, and we are green from Nashville Super Speedway. And contact already between the 81 and 25. Here comes the 65 looking to the inside. These guys are going to be taking a little while. It's going to take a while to get those tires warmed up and get the engines warmed up, but as long as they're at pace, I think these engines will be running fine. LaTanya Gray will lead the opening lap. And that is worth 1 bonus point to the championship. Here they go. They're 3 wide further back. Whoa, Isabella Smith was on the apron with Brenda Davis, and they somehow managed to merge back on track without taking anybody out. That was great work of driving for those two to be able to get back in line. But they are already getting aggressive, and it is lap 2.
We've already had a lot of close calls. We had one turn 1, lap 1 with our race leader, Hageman. He might have sent it in a little too hard, underestimated how slippery the track might have been, and slid up into our outside pole sitter, but luckily they both kept it together. Luckily the whole field has kept it together so far, but yeah, definitely a couple moments so far, but looks like everyone, we still got a little bit of 3 wide, maybe a bit of door banging going on back through here.
Yeah, they are all over the place, but so far they've kept it clean. And LaTanya Gray is the leader at the opening stages. Again, a Gray showing her aggression. I mean, if you're looking for an aggressive driver, LaTanya Gray is that, and Dark Horse Racing picked her up for this campaign, and I think she's showing why. But here we go, we got a battle for second back here. That's Lux Akuma alongside Kathy Ableton Perez. I think this race will be very interesting if we go green for a long time, and the pit cycles start to... and we start to see a pit cycle pan out. I think that's when you're going to see the field start to spread out, and you're going to start to see a lot more action. Obviously, everyone packed in to really close together at the start, and this track is lended itself a name for being able... You can pass here. You can pass. There's a lot of passing here. I've run several 2402 races here where we've broken lead change records that would be set at actual super speedways. As Ableton Perez takes the lead, but here comes the 6 of Akuma.
Definitely a very versatile racetrack and a great racetrack for passing. And we're seeing it early on in the stages with everybody being really aggressive, going for every opportunity they can because they know how easy it is to pass here. So just about every move made could be a spot gained. But up front right now, we've got the number 6 of Luke Sakuma doing a good job right now with that race lead. Latanya Gray got the lead off the start, still kind of just chilling out there in second. But yeah, like you said, once we get to that cycle of pit stops and this thing really starts to spread out, it's going to get really, really interesting. But right now, we're kind of on the edge of our toes now as everybody is so bunched up together.
Yeah, been a very I wouldn't call it a clean start, but nobody's really taken each other out yet here. So it's been a very interesting race to watch so far. And again, oh wow, that was contact between Johnson and Ableton Perez. More contact with Davis and Anderson.
They sure are trying to wreck.
They're trying. But so far they're doing a good job of not wrecking. They're showcasing their talent right now. Hey, the fun part about this series here is these guys have a lot of runs on short tracks and other tracks that where when Cup isn't running, these guys have a lot of standalone races. So this series is kind of its own little thing. It runs in Companion just a few times. I wouldn't call it not a Companion series, but this series is built for these drivers who are from around the world and maybe don't know these disciplines to get some good experience. And hey, for this track where it's very important to where you can make positions pretty easily, where you can make passes pretty easily, just keep in mind that it's also worth a lot to lead a lap here because that's worth a point to the championship. And we have a caution, big crash.
Whoa, we got a big one.
59, Buchanan. Looks like Quinton's in it. Ramos, Kennedy, Von Weber, Oswell. I do not know what happened there, but something happened down the back straightaway here, and I think the 38 had some sort of mechanical issue. I don't think that caused the stack up though, or whatever went on. Oh, these guys might have run into each other coming to pit road, maybe? 4-car, Cassidy Jones is reporting she's got a tire issue. Here comes everyone to pit road, though. We'll take a look at what happened after pit stops. So a big incident.
The rubber band effect. Unfortunately, we put a lot of strain on all these drivers in the first couple of laps with everybody sliding around, making contact, and fortunately, it looks like the rubber band might have snapped there.
Yeah. Looks like the 42 of Von Lundquist has a bit of damage. Oh, contact.
We got
The 35 and 88 coming out of pit road. 04 of Eli. Eli is going to win the race out unless she's tail end of the lead lap.
No, I believe the 5.
The 5 is tail end here. 5 has damage repair. They sent him back out. They sent her back out so that she could beat the pace car. So yeah, I believe it will be the 04 that is the leader. The 5 comes back to pit road here. Already lost a lap, so might as well just try to get it fixed.
Might as well. Still got a long way to go in this one.
So the 04 Eli is the leader. So what happens? It's somewhere at the back of the field. Oh, it's right there.
Oh,
Cassidy
boy.
Jones and Karina Willis-Callaway. And just nowhere for a lot of these guys to go. Edelstein, I think, got into her teammate. Yeah, Edelstein
Oh.
gets into the
Yep.
4. And then Jones gets thrown around like a pinball. And a bunch of these guys have nowhere really to go. I think Karina Willis-Callaway might be okay in all of this. Oh, never mind. She kind of backed it
Bang.
into the wall there. It's a big trouble already, and we've lost 7 cars already. Again, Daytona, we had the minimum speed rule, but we don't have the minimum speed rule here at Nashville. These guys, if they're navigating the lap cars, they'll be told. They will be told. You're just gonna have to deal with it. So the lights are out on the pace car at the moment. I think the lights are out. Yeah, the lights are out. And after that, you think they're gonna calm down a little bit? Maybe drop the aggression a bit.
I definitely think we could see these guys calm down a little bit, especially with them now starting single file for this restart. However, everyone is still kind of bunched up, and everybody should be on fresh tires, so who knows what these guys are going to do here on this restart.
I think everybody's on fresh tires. I'm not sure about the 04, though.
04 might have tried something different.
The 04 was like 20th coming in.
That will definitely be an interesting factor.
Yeah, the 04 took right sides. Okay. The 04 just took rights. Took a little less fuel than everyone else as well, just because it's not been that long. Fuel window here is about 75 laps from what I can recall, as the green flag is out.
Hey, that was a good jump there by the 04.
Yeah, good start. And yeah, these guys are getting all jumpy on each other here.
Might see that tire difference coming into effect right here.
Yeah, the 6 got a big run on the 04 coming out of turn number 2. And Akuma's going to grab the lead right back. We got a few cars here at the back of the field just kind of straggling back behind, trying to hang on to the lead group. But not looking like those guys have very much speed at the moment. So it is Lux Akuma out front, and Eli is really not. That 2-tire strategy did not work out for the 04.
I definitely got her the track position, but definitely not working out well under green for her as she continues to fall back through the field.
Ooh, be careful here.
Ooh, careful. Don't
Hey,
get
hang
hit by
on
the
to it.
82.
And it's Sandy Martel. And there's Mayumi Moriyama. She started back in the provisionals. Same with the 55 of Deborah Williams. These cars are now up at the front of the field. They're in the top 5 now. So fairly interesting to note there of those cars. They're up front again. They're up front even after they had that tough starting position. Managed to drive their way up through the field. There's Laura Sundale, the other PHLM racing car. That car failed to qualify at Daytona, but Sundale's looking pretty solid. Up into the 4th position now.
Great pass there on the 55 of Deborah Williams, and now up into the 4th position. Nice to see a lot of these cars that did not qualify for the race at Daytona running well here. Well, we got some 3 wide here with the 54, the 31, and I believe that's the 15 as well.
Yep. Ramirez really pushing it there, but made it stick. Pretty well single file up at the front of the field, though. I think these guys have learned, just keep it a little bit, just keep it calmer for now.
I don't
That
think
wreck
these guys got the
happened-
memo though.
Yeah, these guys definitely did not. Bunch of Dark Horse Racing cars up here towards the front, though. LaTanya Gray up front, Deborah Williams, Isabella Smith. The only one of their cars that's really not up front is the 96, and the 96 is, like, outside of the race. We got a pit report. Eddie, what do you got for us?
I just had an interview with Casper von Weber, who got caught up in that wreck. He sounds pretty disappointed. It sounded like he got up to the top 10 to start the race and just fell back and ended up in the middle of the pack when the wreck started. Just nowhere for him to go. Really annoying for him. He said he thought he was really going to get a good point call. Remember, this is a driver who's currently at 0 points because he did not qualify for Daytona. And yeah, he's just sad. He's going to try and hang around the Uberman Enterprises garages, see if he can help in any way possible. The other big news is watch some of the PHLM cars. Those are only 2, I believe that is. Check my notes here. Yeah, Eli and Laura Sundale both started top 5, and it looked like they gave both either very similar strategies to get them up to the front of the pack. Seems like Sundale figured out the car, but seems like Eli did not, and we have seen that go pretty poorly for them. But Sundale's still in the top 5. Other than that, Lux Akuma, no points, but she's in the lead.
Yeah, and 3 of the top 4 were drivers that did not make the field at Daytona, being Akuma, Andresen, and Sundale. The only one that did, Mayumi Moriyama, actually was one of the few drivers that even finished that race. So, fairly solid running so far. But we may have a battle for the lead on our hands pretty soon because Andresen is up here. You got LaTanya Gray trying to drive her way back up to the field. She's bringing Lori Ramirez with her. She's got Isabella Smith moving up to the field. There's Katrin Edelstein, who kind of set off that chain reaction wreck earlier, but managed to survive through it. Points leader in the 14 right there.
A lot of single file racing going on right now, but still got a lot of passing going on. Might have an opportunity there with the 16 and the 82. Tried to peek a nose underneath, but up and here goes the 31 on LaTanya Gray. Trying to take that 5th spot away, but I was going to say that Akuma wasn't really pulling away, but it looks like they're trying to pull out a little bit of a gap now to the 35 of Anderson. And Anderson's pretty much right now got a mirror full of that 64 of Mayumi Moriyama. But, yeah, it looks like these guys have kind of caught the memo. Everyone's starting to kind of calm down a little bit, but like I said, still got a lot of passing going on. How about this 95 and this 12? Jackie Kennedy and Cara Reynolds, they were kind of in that mess a little bit, in that crash early on going. They didn't get a lot of damage, I don't think, but hey, they've got some fast cars. It looks like they've both made their way up here towards the top 10, despite that hardship early on in the going.
And the 35 just dropped back, got shuffled up to the top lane, and you don't want to be on the top lane here. And the 31 is really, really pulling her way through the field. Lori Ramirez. So last week's winner, Freya von Lundquist, out of the race now. But the good news for von Lundquist is she has that win, so she's locked into the playoffs. Isabella Smith now up to the 5th position. She's gotten past LaTanya Gray. And Mayumi Moriyama in the 64 has really closed the gap on Akuma. We might see a battle for the lead soon. We're going to catch some lappers. That's Zoe Quinton and Cassidy Jones. Cassidy Jones, I'm kind of surprised that Jones is still running. That car got thrown around quite a bit in that wreck, but she's managed to keep the car on track and keep it running.
Have to see how these leaders navigate around these lap cars. Of course, like you said, not like Daytona, no minimum speed, so all these guys are just going to have to deal with them.
Yeah, they're going to just have to drive. They're going to just have to get by. And Lux Akuma's doing a pretty solid job holding on to the lead.
He's going to dive it underneath the 4 car there.
Yeah, 64. Really tried to pull on corner exit, though. And Lori Ramirez now up to the 3rd position. The 31 is on rails right now, and here comes Moriyama. She is looking underneath Akuma, but just could not get down. But that 64, I think, is absolutely faster right now.
Now, here comes the 31 as well. Lori Ramirez is catching these two as well as they kind of go at it for the race lead.
I think the 31 might be the one really to watch here. Is the 31, I think, is faster. I think the 31 is the fastest car right now. Fastest lap so far, that's an extra point. Jackie Kennedy has it right now in the 12 car.
All right, Jackie.
Moriyama kind of choked the corner a little bit there. And that's going to let Ramirez get to the inside. That's going to let a bunch of these cars get to the inside. There's Sundale. They made a little bit of contact there. Yeah, now it's 64. Yeah, again,
everybody is single file. They're still pretty close together, although there might be a gap here for the 64 to get down, and it looks like she'll be able to take it.
She will get down, as Edelstein is able to get around Latanya. And then we got about another battle for second. There's Sundale and Ramirez. And I think Lux Akuma does enjoy seeing these two race behind her, because that's letting her lead more.
Definitely. I think there's a lot of these guys behind the 6 of Akuma who are definitely faster, like the 31. The 40's looking pretty fast. The 15, 64. So I know Akuma's definitely really enjoying seeing all these guys going at it in their mirror. But Sundale is clear of the cars behind them, and they're setting sail right now, so we'll have to see if they can maybe run those 6 down for the lead.
And just a reminder, we got tomorrow action from Down Under. It's Calder Park for the AWSCO Windows Cup Series. First time we're running at the Oval in that track in 25 years. That's the first time we're going to see cars on track on the Calder Park Oval in a long, long time. So those drivers had a very, very fiery practice session the other day. It'll be really fun to watch that race. Most of these guys single filed out. I've seen a little bit of side-by-side action, but most of these guys just kind of calm down here, trying not to push it. Which I think is a good move. I think here you really don't want to push it, at least right now, just because track is, these guys have been super antsy. Such a difficult track to get around, too. This track isn't really like any other. So we see Isabella Smith go for second. Yeah, it is a very unique racetrack. I mean, the travel shape isn't particularly unique, but the unique thing about this track is that it's a very long, it's a 1/3 mile track, and it's all, and the surface is concrete, so you don't really see a lot of concrete tracks longer than really Bristol, let alone seeing one like this, where it's almost 2.5 times the size of Bristol.
I guess Tennessee just really likes concrete. You know what? I support that.
Yeah, that's fair. So pretty interesting action. Here comes Edelstein in the 14. See Krista Anderson battling with Leah Azelhart back here. And hey, another shout out. I'd also like to give a shout out to Ashley Johnson in the 24. Did not qualify for the race at Daytona. She blew a tire on her qualifying lap and then got wrecked out in the duels. Was the only retirement in the Continental duels. She's up here doing a pretty solid job.
And I see the 24 running up here after pretty much being plagued by all that bad luck during the Daytona weekend, and they're proving that they've got speed running up here. So, have to see if they can potentially bring it home with the top 10. That'd be really, really good for them and that team.
Absolutely. Would get them up there in the points. And at this point, you know, any points are good. Just because qualifying is basically mostly going to be determined by points at this point. Especially if you aren't fast enough to make the show by yourself. You're going to catch the 2 of Rachel Ramos here. That car off the pace, slow from the the incident earlier. And Lori Ramirez now pretty clear for second. I think that 31 and 14 may have something. I think a fair few of these guys probably have something for that 6. But right now they just haven't been able to get to it yet. Interesting of note as well, AWSCO officials indicated if you're going to commit to pit road, commit to the apron exiting turn 3. Or entering turn 3. Because it keeps the cars out of the way, and it'll give us a very clear indication of who is coming to pit road. 31 looking to the inside. I think she's going to go for it. Yes, she is.
Oh, yeah, she is.
Here comes the move for the lead from Lori Ramirez, and she's going to take it. So the new leader is the 31 out of that Ozark Motorsports camp. Not exactly a home track for these guys, for this team, but I'd say pretty close.
Oh, that was a pretty big slide, though.
Here comes Akuma coming back. And the 64 is here as well. And Ramirez led one lap, and it's back to Akuma out front.
That was a big slip up there from the 31 of Ramirez. Went really wide there. Coming out of turn 2, almost got to the outside wall and pretty much just let the 6 lose Akuma right back by. And that's going to cost her a couple spots as well. But luckily, she's going to cycle back out into the 4th position. But now we got the 64 back up here.
Here comes the 14, though.
Maybe Moriyama. But here comes the 14. It's going to take the 2nd position away.
Hey, we've had a lot of contenders up at the front. I mean, it's not like this race has been without action. These guys kind of toned it down a little bit, but there's still been quite a bit of action on track. And while Akuma's led a good chunk of this race, I would not count her. I would not say she's the favorite by any means, just because these guys have been able to keep with her pretty consistently throughout the start of this one.
Nice to see these guys have kind of got the memo and calmed down a little bit. Like I said, still seeing a lot of passing going on, but especially still had a bit of calamity early on in the going, but especially after Daytona. It's nice to see at least a lot more cars still running.
We got a report from Eddie down on pit road on the 64. What do you got for us?
Seems like the Hokkaido Velocity executives so far, especially crew chief, are really proud of how Moriyama's moving with that car. Reminder that Moriyama started 13 rows behind. He had a Joko right now, and yet Moriyama's in 3rd, and Joko is currently outside of the top 10. So they are really proud of how she's been able to move up through this field. They're proud of the fact that she's kept this position both before and after the pit stop. Yeah, just good vibes all around from 64 garage right now. I think Hokkaido Velocity executives and just the rest of the team now trying to turn towards getting that 0 as close to her as she can, so that maybe the two can work together.
Yeah, very interesting to note. They've just caught some lap cars again. The 4 and the 5 again, who are pretty off pace, just trying to get some points out of the day. As the 5 has now fallen 3 laps down, and that's Zoe Quinton in the 5 car. These guys have kept it pretty clean. But yeah, he had a Yoko in the 0. Not been at the same level that the 64 has been, but the 64 has just gotten that great climb up from towards the back of the field. And up here towards the front. 50 laps. We're on lap number 50 here of the Geodis 300 from the Nashville Superspeedway. Cold night, and we might see a move. Here comes Edelstein.
There's a slip up from Akuma. Here comes the 14.
And Katrin Edelstein is going to lead at the line. And so give another point to the 14. because that is a lap lead, and the 6 is not going to be able to get back down. And so Edelstein's going to be pretty clear out front now, for a little bit at least, unless the 64 has a big run into turn 3, which she does.
What she does? Might have 2 lead changes here in the same lap, and they're also catching lap traffic.
Yeah, that's the 60 of Jennifer Wilson in that Gulf Racing car.
Things are getting spicy up here towards the front.
Yeah, we got some good action now. Looking back through the field, a lot of these guys are just kind of chilling back here. I see Isabella Fitzmaurice. Fitzmaurice kind of got shuffled to the back. Had a bit of a mechanical issue on that 38 car. They got it fixed. She's just been very slowly, methodically working her way up through the field. She's gotten past the 0 of Hieta Yoko, and Fitzmaurice is up to 16th now. 6 really got held up trying to get by the 60. That might help the 15 of Smith. It's a fun story for Isabella Smith, who, daughter of the team owner of Dark Horse Racing, but she's a pretty solid racer in her own right. She ran pretty well at Daytona last week before she had an engine issue, and she's running 4th this week. Her 2 brothers run in a couple other series, but she's looking to make a name for herself here.
So far doing an excellent job at doing just that as she moves into the 3rd position.
I'm sure that a lot of these Cup drivers are wishing they could have run on this track this weekend, because this is just a great racetrack for racing.
Ooh.
As here comes the 14 once more.
Again, another slip of what, like I said pre-race, it's a very slippery racetrack, and it is very prone to overdriving these corners, to slide up out of the groove and pretty much slide into
Oh,
the
the
groove.
65!
Oh, there goes Gray!
And the 35 of Anderson involved as well. No caution.
No caution.
They choose to keep it green. I think they didn't go all the way around, but wow. As we got a battle for the lead again, here comes the 15 of Smith. Was shocking that there was no yellow there. And they've both kind of kept going here. They're both staying on track. Alright, well, interesting.
Alright.
Sure, why not? We'll have to take a look at that later on, but that was very strange. As Moriyama gets second here from Edelstein. There must have just been some sort of contact exiting turn 2, and
Again, that's a tough break though for Latanya Gray, who was running up here inside the top 10.
yeah, and she's come to pit road.
Yeah.
They're coming in to get that car fixed. Looks like.
That's probably going to take her out of contention. That's a really tough break. Looks like we might have a battle for the lead going on, though.
Yeah, we do. It's the 64 of Moriyama.
They back got 3 rows of double file.
And they're really going all out again now. And here comes the 6 of Akuma, who led a good chunk. And the 6 is gonna get
try to go for a twofer.
Big run by Akuma, and I think she's gonna get it at the line. Yes, she is. She's gonna lead that lap.
That was a great rally by Akuma.
The 65 is pitting for damage repair here, so they're taking quite a while. Looks like she's gonna come back out on track, though. I guess the interesting thing to note is she should be good on fuel for a little bit, at least. We are about 60 laps into this run. And the fuel window's about, or I guess we're more like 50 laps into this run because they all pitted on lap 11. But the fuel should be good for about 70-ish laps here. Around that range. Krista Anderson, who was the other car that looked to be involved in that incident, still hanging on in the top 15. She's actually running 14th at the moment. Eliza Evergreen gets shuffled there, and Deborah Williams gets by, and the 10 really got shuffled out of line. Here comes the 15 of Isabella Smith now for the race lead. Well, it was a bit stagnant at the start, but
Oh goodness!
wow, Ramirez and Akuma came very close to having an issue there, but great job by both of them to not turn that into something worse.
I don't know what Latanya Gray wrecking did to all these guys up front, but man, they're going absolutely crazy right now.
60 car coming out of pit road, so that's a car that is a bit that's damaged and laps down. So I think she's just trying to run her own race and try and keep on her cycle. Smith took the lead, but here comes Ramirez. As the tires have worn out, this race has gotten a lot more fun. Yeah, look at that tire wear. They're running about a second off of they're running about a second off of their fast laps. So this tire wear is not nothing. These guys are kind of having to wheel it here, so I think that's kind of playing into this.
Concrete is hungry. It needs sustenance.
True. So it is Lori Ramirez now out front. We're going to see. She's going to catch the lap car of Cassidy Jones here.
It's actually kind of pulled away a little bit with the lead.
Yes, he did. I'm still amazed that they decided not to call a caution for the 65 and the 35s incident. That was a bit of an interesting call, but they were both able to make it back out. I guess they just determined that there wasn't enough debris to cause a yellow. You know, we don't go to any road courses in the Continental Series. It's mostly short tracks on this schedule, but oh, the 6 has an issue. Lux Akuma has a fuel system issue of some sort. Yeah, look at that. She's coming to pit road. Well, I guess if you're going to have an issue, you might as well time it here. Because we are getting close to that pit cycle opening up. The 81 has just come to pit road. I believe that is unrelated to any mechanical issues.
Yeah, definitely not ideal to have mechanical failures, but at least if you're going to have it, this is probably a good time.
Yeah,
if
she's
they
going to be
can get
taking
that repaired quickly, that she should be okay.
Yeah, she's probably going to be a little long on pit road, but again, I don't think that's going to do her in too much because the 38 of Isabella Fitzmaurice had that issue. She spent a long time, and the 38's been able to make her way out through the field somewhat. They are really they are too wide all over in this group. And yeah, the 60 there is on fresh tires, and you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
Not really much straightaway speed, but watch the 60 in the corners. She's going to absolutely pull. Like, that car being so damaged is able to pull the 93 with those, just because of those fresh tires. There's a 6 coming out of pit road, 45 seconds on that stop. So a 6 is probably going to lose a lap here. The 6 has actually lost 2 laps already. (14) of Edelstein in the second position. Just kind of hanging back on the 31 of Laura Ramirez. And now she goes for it. 31 slipped just a bit, and that's going to let the 14 go for the lead, and she had it at the line. If you're curious about this race versus Daytona, lead changes at Daytona, there were there were 38 lead changes at Daytona,
we
and here
go.
we go. 14 and 15 both coming to pit road. So here's the start of the green flag cycle. I don't know if I've actually ever seen a green flag cycle at this track, because every 2402 race I've done here was, it always had stage cautions, so. Well, there's the 65 of Latanya Gray. And we're seeing a bunch of cars come down. 31's coming in, same for the 64. The 40 just to stay out another lap. So the 40 of Sundale now going to be scored as the leader. What kind of pit stop are we going to get? 15 out of 15.19. 14 out of 16.97. Not a great stop for Edelstein, and that might let Smith get out. They're going to be side-by-side exiting. Smith's going to back off and let the 14 have it. I think she knows that it's not that making a pass here is pretty easy. So now these cars with fresh tires. And there's everybody on the pit road.
See where the 14 and 15 come out compared
There's
to all
the
these
14
guys.
and
There's
15.
the 31.
Here's the 31. 64 is ahead of the 31.
64
I believe the
got a
14's going to
great
jump. I believe the 14's going to jump these two. Although we'll see.
Might be close with the 64.
No, actually the 64 is pretty well out. I'm curious about where the 40 will cycle now, because the 40 was the last car of those leaders that pitted. So here she comes out. And now the 15 making a move on the 14. And yep, the 64 is going to get out ahead of the 40. I believe the 4 is coming to pit road at the same time the 40 is coming out.
So he's still getting up to speed. Gonna go side by side with the 15. Sundale can stay down there on the inside. They might be able to hold second. It looks like they're gonna be able to.
I believe she will.
That was a
Ooh,
That was a
they're
great
tight.
effort on the outside there, though, by Smith.
Wow, really good run by Smith on the outside. It's hard to see cars. Oh,
Uh-oh.
the 2 of Ableton Perez. Caution, I believe, is out. Is it? Or am I just seeing things? Yes,
yes,
the
it
caution
is.
is out. Well, okay. So we just had a caution right at the end of the pit cycle. So that doesn't mess anything up for anyone, really, because the caution had just happened to be right after the pit cycle ended. And here comes pretty much everyone right back to pit road. Well, we'll have to see what happened there, because I believe the 25 was the slow car, and we'll also go back and look at what happened with the 65 and the other car that was involved in that. The 6 of Lux Akuma will be the free pass car.
I was gonna say, it's gonna be interesting to see how all these guys that just came in that are on the lead lap and have new fresh tires are gonna fare with all the damaged cars who probably came in a handful
just a
of laps
splash of
ago and are
fuel.
now on older tires.
Just a splash of fuel for a lot of these cars. 14 took a while. Not a very good stop for Edelstein. For Lux Akuma, she hits a brake. Got the free pass, and is back on the lead lap now. So, unfortunate for them to have their mech issues, but very fortunate that they were able to get back in lead lap. And I'm not sure what we're doing here. So a fair few cars chose to stay out. The 24, 16, 10, and 7 all chose not to pit. These are all lead lap cars, so these 4 cars are going to stay out. We did just have pit stops, so Guess maybe it's worth taking that chance. Let me save real quick, just so we don't lose anything here. All right. So let's go back and see what happened with the 65 first, because I want to see what that was all about. All right, so right here, oh, the 35 just dumps her.
Wow.
And Wilson kind of piles in, nowhere for her to go. That's rough. Not Latania's fault at all. Rare instance of saying that.
There is going to be some choice words after that one, I'd assume.
Absolutely. Let's see what happens to the 25. There's her running back to the caution. I'm pretty sure the 25 was the cause for the yellow. Oh, I think this is a case of tires. Yeah, I think that's
Looks
just
like
a case of tires. I'm not sure why the 25 merges into the wall there, but...
NR.
Looks like the 25 is okay. Not too badly damaged. 24, 16, 10, 7, 64, 40, 15, 31, 93, 82. So the top 10 all in a line, so nobody's gonna get the wave around here. And we got a report from Russia on the 7. What do you got?
Hello there, I've been drafted onto pit lane duty. I think we're having a bit of a staff shortage here. But yeah, with regards to the number 7 team, I think the team over at McMillan here are just going to try something different. I don't think that 7 car is Munoz has been entirely happy with the way that 7 car has been handling lately. And I think she's been running around the lower midfield, so I think they're just going to keep her out here just to see what that car can do in cleaner air at least. Alright, well, back to you in the booth, guys.
Yeah, alright, well, we're going to get set for the restart. Ashley Johnson out front. It is Leah Azelhart, Eliza Evergreen, and Reina Munoz. All of those four all stayed out on this last yellow. Here we go, green flag is out, and we'll see if this strategy works from these top 4. We've already got a move on the cars that came to pit road. There's Sundale taking 5th away from Moriyama, and might take 4th from Munoz.
Johnson got a great jump there on the restart. Doesn't look like all those guys that stayed out are terribly off the pace, although Sundale's absolutely eating them up there on the inside lane.
Yeah,
these cars if they can maybe find a rhythm.
These cars look fine pace-wise. Just trying some strategy out here, see if it works, but the 40 is really making moves. Making quick work of these guys. And here comes Sundale to the inside on Ashley Johnson, and she is going to take the lead away. So the 40 car of Laura Sundale, who also didn't make the race at Daytona, out front now. And it's just really exciting to see all these cars that didn't make the race last week get back out here, just regroup, and be able to run up front again. Like, it's just great to see this. Hey, there's the 82, Sandy Martel. Haven't heard a lot from her, but she's up here into the top 5 now.
I haven't really talked about Martel at all so far today, but she's showing her way up here. I believe she's made her way up into the top 5 here. And yeah, she's made her way up into the 4th position. Now potentially maybe even looking to take 3rd away there from the number 15.
Hey, and I'd also like to point out someone else is in the top 10. That's Krista Anderson in the 35.
Hey.
Remember, she was in that incident with the 65, and she's now into the top 10. Yeah, she didn't have too much damage.
They are all over the place here, as I guess kind of expected on a restart here, but they are still going every which way right now. Ashley Johnson doing pretty good, holding her own, up in second right now. We still got quite a bit of ways to go here. Oh, they're tight back there. They just made some contact.
Was close.
I saw some contact with the 65, the 77, and the 95. But Tanya Gray, I believe, is still... Oh, no, Gray is on the lead lap. I didn't even realize that.
Oh,
But
wow.
I guess during that cycle, she managed to get back out on the lead lap, so... Still a chance for her. Is it a particularly strong one? I'm not really sure, but she's still got a chance to get back out, get back out up front.
And she's doing a good job of making her way through the field so far, although I would maybe worry a little bit when she gets into close proximity of the 35 car.
Yeah, well, LaTanya's never really been known to be particularly nice to her competitors, and with someone who knocked her out of the way like that and crashed her, I think she's going to be even less nice.
Probably.
But I think AWSCO officials are going to be watching that and making sure she doesn't do anything that will jeopardize the safety of the field. Here comes Sandy Martell, the 82 car, for the race lead. And she is, I believe, going to grab that here in turn 3 as long as the 40 doesn't get a big run up the outside. Yes, she will. Oh, the 64 made contact with the 40. Here comes the 81 of Alice Hageman.
Oh!
Wow.
That got close.
81 saw that and said, don't mind if I do, and took both of those spots. That's the pole sitter, Alice Hageman, who surprisingly is yet to lead a lap. She didn't even lead the opening lap. It was LaTanya Gray. But the 81 now back out up front after she made some adjustments up front. And 38, Isabella Fitzmaurice as well. Remember she had that issue earlier? Look at where Fitzmaurice is. She's into the top 10 now.
A lot of new faces up here towards the front with that
Yeah.
pit cycle.
And here comes Anderson in the 35. Here comes Munoz in the 7. There's those two McMillan teammates. Yeah, we've seen a lot of shuffling from this from these pit stops. Wow, the 12 and 14 hit each other a little bit there. Hey, this track race is great though. I think these guys are really enjoying this.
Oh,
Hageman to the
big
inside.
Slip up there. Here we go again.
81. Looking for the top spot, and I believe she will take it. And man, if the way they're racing, I mean, this is great racing, but you have to worry about whether they're going to take each other out at some point, because they've been getting very close for a while, and with how hard they're racing.
Oh, boy,
It's been-
that's a bit tight.
Wow, I almost jinxed it right there, but great job by those guys to not take each other out.
How about Fitzmaurice, though?
Yeah, the 38 recovered from that mechanical issue with her fuel system, up into 3rd place now.
There goes Munoz.
Ooh, tight off the corner, but Munoz is going to get it. We've yet to really see anybody be particularly dominant. I think aside from the 6 who led a bunch early, but after that, we haven't really seen anyone lead a lot.
Yeah.
I would have been interested to see how this run would have played out had we not gotten that yellow, but just as well, I'm interested in how this race is going. We got a report from Russia down on pit road. What do you got on the 38 car?
Yeah, I'm here with the crew chief of the 38 team. They seem to be pretty satisfied with the repair work that they've done on that car after the early fuel system problems. But they are still going to keep monitoring and make sure that nothing else breaks on that car. But yeah, so far good progress by the 38 team, running in the top 5. Over back to you.
Alice Hageman just took the lead back from Munoz during that report, so pretty solid run for the 81 after not having a particularly great first stint. She's managed to get back out here. Get back out front. She's managed to get back to the front here in this second long run here. Well, assuming this ends up being a long run.
Here we go, about to play some chess here up front.
Wondering where... There's Lux Akuma back in 21st and Latanya Gray in 22nd, so... For those two, I think Akuma's still kind of trying to work her way through the field, but that issue for Akuma really did not help her. Especially with having to start at the tail end of the field, and they have caught these lap cars of the 4 and the 5. Once more, those cars have been kind of struggling all day. They have not had the best of luck here, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
But they're still out there. They're still running, and they still got a race to finish here, assuming nothing goes even more wrong in those cars. So I will say I think the 4 and the 5 have done a very good job of staying out of the way of the rest of the field. Not something you usually see with NR lap cars, but I think these cars have done a very good job of just keeping up high and letting everyone by. Although I guess, to be fair, this track is one where it's pretty easy to dive bomb to the inside. But I have been impressed with how much space they've been giving everybody, and they have not caused any incidents. So it's
This 81 trying to pull away a little bit with the lead.
showing that
40
pace.
car up the second now, though.
Yeah, Hageman's showing that pace she had in qualifying. I mean, again, the Meridian Motorsport team not particularly happy with their performance in Daytona. The 77 did not qualify for that race, and the 81 got taken out in that early accident. They've come here and shown a lot of vigor. Like Hageman, pole winner, leading quite a bit right now. And Lockport qualified in the top 10. She's not really up there right now. She got a little bit of damage in that early incident, but still doing a pretty solid job right now. We're seeing the 38 of Isabella Fitzmaurice get up into second, past Laura Sundale. Seven alongside the 40 now. Sundale kind of stuck up top now. But we've seen those dominant cars. We haven't really seen a lot of dominant cars, but the dominant car in the early run was the 6 of Luxacuma. The 81 of Alice Hageman kind of impressing here right now. Key note that they're both Toyotas. They're both in that Inverness Racing camp, although the 81 is a Meridian Motorsport car, so that's more of an alliance. Still though, very, very impressive run from the Toyotas, and we've seen a lot of we've seen a lot of manufacturer politicking in this series. I think Toyota's kind of got the early hand right now.
Looks like they definitely got a pretty big advantage right now, but still got a lot of different manufacturers up here. We got Ford, we got Mercedes, and they got Honda. And speaking of Honda, how about this number 0 of Heidi Yoka? Haven't really talked about them at all much today, but they've got a really solid run going. They've gotten themselves up here in the top 10, and they've been kind of slowly just making their way through these cars here in the top 10. Now I'm right on the back bumper of the 24 of Johnson. But they've been silently fast so far here today, so good run there from the 0 car.
Yeah, the Finnish driver doing a solid job so far. Alice Hageman, the North Dakotan, up front. Then there's Reina Munoz from Mexico, Isabella Fitzmaurice from Quebec, battling with Sandy Martel from California. I will say, I do love how AWSCO made them put the flag of the state or nation they're from on these cars, because it really makes it it makes it feel like a really diverse field instead of just seeing the American flag 50 times.
I think diverse fields are a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun having all these different drivers from
So many different backgrounds,
basically
yeah.
all around the world. Yeah.
Absolutely. Hageman, though, looking strong right now. 81 car is the... I feel like at this point in the race, the 81 car is the one to beat. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that a lot of these cars that were up front earlier haven't really made their way back up front. Like, we're seeing pretty much a whole new cast of cars up at the front of the field now. Like, the only one that's really... that from that early run that's kept up here is Sundale in the 40. Everyone else pretty much kind of hung back a little bit. Not really particularly up there with these cars. Moriyama's kind of trying to make her way up through, though. And same with Andresen. Andresen being involved in that incident earlier. Kind of surprised that the 35 didn't have that much damage from that. Latanya Gray hasn't looked outstanding, but she's doing fine with her damaged car right now. Managed to keep herself on the lead lap here. Yeah, pretty much kind of mellowed out for now. I think in the middle of these runs, you're going to see them mellow out just a bit, just because they're not really trying to push it at this point. Well, I say that, and then the 40 goes for a spot on the 38, but, you know.
Yeah, I think at this stage, everyone's just kind of riding around, saving their stuff, waiting until we get to that second cycle of pit stops, which shouldn't be too far out here from now.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
When was the last yellow? Was that lap 77, I think? Somewhere around there?
It was around there, yeah, like right when the cycle finished up.
Yeah. And we saw them start pitting around lap 68, 69. And that was after they had pitted on lap 10. So we'll probably see them pit on around lap 140? 150 maybe?
Yeah.
There should be at least 2 more stops left, judging by the fuel that they've gotten.
There's
Martel.
potentially heating up.
Yeah, Martel looking on Munoz. The Uberman Enterprise driver fighting with the Macmillan Enterprises driver. That's a lot of enterprises. Well, actually, Uberman is just an enterprise. It's not enterprises. Isabella Fitzmaurice. Again, I can't really say enough about this team. They've gotten her back up to the front after having that mech issue. I will also say as well, the 6 of Luxacuma. Remember, she had that fuel system issue. She's kind of starting to pull her way up through the field. She's up into 19th now. I think she's going to take 18th from Brackett in the 66. I mean, these drivers were... I am very interested to note that the cold hasn't really seemed to affect these guys all that much. Maybe it's just like keeping the cars warm from the heat of the engines, but it doesn't seem like it being that cold here has done all that much to the racing.
Doesn't really seem like it's done much. Like I said, it's already a very slippery track by nature, so...
Yeah. With when it's a little colder, that does usually give a little bit of grip into it, but I'm not sure how that really affects concrete. We are coming to halfway this time, and Hageman going to be the leader here at the halfway mark. 113 laps complete, 113 laps to go from the Nashville Superspeedway. It's Hageman, Munoz, Martel, Sundale, Fitzmaurice, the top 5, Yoko, Johnson, Andresen, Moriyama, Oberman, the top 10. Right now, our NordVPN fastest lap belongs to the 81 of Alice Hageman, so she's making her mark up at the front of the field, not only on the track, but not only on the leaderboard, but also on the lap times. So That 81 clearly very fast.
Definitely showing everywhere that 81 probably might be the car to beat right now.
Right now,
He is
absolutely.
dominating the middle stages of this race. 82 kind of getting held up by these lap cars. There goes the 0 of AWSCO.
Yeah,
Which,
Martel
like I
got
said,
hung
0.
up. Oh, she pushed the
Gonna
5.
turn him.
She turned the 5. The 5, great save by Zoe Quinton, though. Great save to not cause anything big there.
Goodness.
There's already been in enough incidents today, I think. I think Martel's just trying to get down to the bottom because she got stuck up behind those lap cars when she was battling with these guys, and I think she just was being real aggressive about getting to the bottom, and the 5 just happened to be in her way, and she decided, nope, you're not going to be there anymore.
She wanted to get by those lap cars, and it looks like she was not about to take no for an answer there.
Yep. And these guys have kind of calmed down just a bit here, just these middle stages. And we saw in the middle of the run, last run, it's kind of calm, stagnant, just a bit like just trying to run laps. But I think the deeper we go into this run here, I think we're gonna see the tires start to get chewed up. We're gonna start to see a bit more action before we get to the pit stops. And I think if you're gonna make it to the end, you're gonna really need to stretch the fuel. You're gonna really need to stretch the fuel on both of these last 2 runs. So I don't think we're gonna see anybody one-stop it. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tried. But I think that to the end of this race, barring any yellows, it'll be a 2-stopper under green.
Right now, definitely seeming like that could be the case, although we did see a yellow pretty much right after the first cycle of pit stops concluded, so
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see if it happens again.
Most of those guys took just a splash of fuel. But I think even if we pit at about the same distance that we did last time, I don't think they would have enough fuel to make it to the end either way, even if a yellow comes out straight after. I mean, I guess they could always try, though. I mean, not entirely out of the question for somebody to try a strategy like that. But very much just kind of settle down here. Just kind of trying to run some laps at this point in the race. Some of these some of these girls are negotiating the lap traffic. Hageman just had to get by the 25 of Ableton Perez, who has just gone a lap down. If there were to be a caution, I believe that 25 would be the free pass car because she's only 1 down. The 60 and 2 are 2 down. The 5 is 4 laps down, and the 4 is now 5 laps down. Which is that was a bit of a tongue twister there. Bit of a tongue twister there, as the 5 being 4 laps down and the 4 being 5 laps down. You almost think they should, like, switch spots or something.
Pretty funny coincidence there.
Now, a fair few of these cars just kind of trying to hold pace. Kate Summers in the 8 trying to hold pace at this point. We are past halfway, so I'm going to toss it to Russia in the studio for our FanDuel, to our FanDuel fan studio for our FanDuel mid-race update and our FanDuel race picks. What do you got for us down there?
It's a slightly exhausted Rasha here in the studio, making my way back after having to go down to pit lane to do some impromptu interviews there. But yeah, I think we've seen quite a bit of nice long run racing here at Nashville, and we've seen quite a share of lead changes and cars moving up and down the pack here. Right now, the 81s kind of maintain a stronghold on the lead position, but the 38 and 7, I think, shows that you don't necessarily have to have a good start to the race in order to have in order to have a good run at it. 38, of course, had that mechanical failure, and the 7 used a strategy gambit and stayed out to get some nice track position. Both of them are making the best of it right now. As for my personal pick for this race, I'm going to continue sticking with the number 7. I think that KFC Toyota, driven by Rainier Munoz, has been quite good ever since she stayed out on that restart. I actually expected her to drop down a little bit more, but she's been clearly the best car of the ones that stayed out there. I don't really have any other partners. I don't have anybody else in the studio here, so do you guys in the booth have any picks, potentially?
What do you got there, Caleb? What do you think?
Honestly, I'm really liking the 0 of Hidioka. Like I said, they've been just quietly making their way through all of these guys up here in the top 10, now making a pass there, as I say that, for the 3rd position on the 38 of Isabella Fitzmaurice. This car honestly seems to really come alive here on these long runs, so if we get a long run to close this race out, I'd watch out for that 0 car, honestly.
I think I have to go with the 81 of Alice Hageman. Started on the pole, didn't have a great start to the race, but this run she's looked untouchable in that 81 car. The 81 of Alice Hageman, driver from North Dakota, really just trying to run the race. I think she kind of knows how to run these kinds of tracks in colder temperatures, being from North Dakota. Gets pretty cold there too. Hageman has looked like the most solid car right now. She's looked like the fastest driver at this point, and she is really starting to pull away. That was your FanDuel ones to watch. Except it wasn't, because I think it's like I haven't even come up with a name for it. I want to call it the FanDuel Fan Picks. But, like, I always do the fan gimmick with all of the FanDuel stuff. There's Krista Andresen. Again, I mean, I keep yapping about this, but she was involved in an incident earlier, but she is still looking pretty strong. Like, top 10 after that, not really anything to scoff at. We're seeing battles for second, but we really aren't seeing them close in on the 81. Like, the 81's pretty well out there at the moment.
They closed down a little bit.
They did close down a little bit there, yeah. Yeah, they did, actually. I noticed that. The 7 of Munoz. I guess, I wonder if it's kind of a thing of, like, maybe this is kind of a draft track, but, like, not as much of one as, say, Daytona, where you still got to negotiate the corners, you still got to run real fast in the corners, but down these straightaways, these guys have really gained quite a bit. Yeah, look at that.
Oh boy.
Take a look at that lap time. Yeah, 29.5 for the 81 compared to a 29.3 on the 7. And a 29.2 on the 8. So we are going to focus on those lap times just because that is going to be something important to watch. Oh good, I have 238 notifications from the group chat.
Yeah. You guys are really starting to reel in this 81 car now. I wonder if maybe everybody behind was just trying to maybe save their stuff a little bit while the 81 kind of just used up their tires up towards the front of the field. And, oh, here we go. The 82 is going to dive into the pit lane here.
I tabbed out by accident. 82 coming to pit road.
More as well. Honestly, a bit earlier than I thought they would come in.
Yeah, I have to say, they're coming in a lot earlier than I expected. Here comes all these cars. Basically everyone, aside from the 81 up at the front.
Oh, and the 81's getting held up by lapped cars as we speak.
Yeah, she could not get by the 4 or the 5 there, so really tough. That's going to be a tough on the in-lap for her. Curious to watch these cars come out. See the 7. Oh, the 4 of Cassidy Jones has blown up.
It's finally let go.
That thing finally gave up.
This could get interesting, especially if she stops on the racing surface.
I think she's gonna make it back.
Ooh.
Oh, no, she's not, because the
Yeah.
7 just ran into her. Oh, no. Well, oh, Ramirez.
Oh, and more. Oh, look out, look out.
Oh, look out, the 81.
That's your dominant car of the day.
Caution is out. And, well... I'm not sure how this is going to cycle out, because we just had because a bunch of cars had not pitted yet.
Wow.
And a tough break for the 81 and the 7, who all were up front and looked very fast, and now they're not going to see this thing to completion. These guys are stacking up a little bit. We have, I believe, 5 cars on the lead lap, and one of them is actually LaTonya Gray. I think. Oh, no, she's not. We have 3 cars on the lead lap. These guys are still trying to sort themselves out here, I believe. This is certainly something. Oh, the 16 of Azelhart.
Oh, boy.
And the 04. I think that's the 04. Where? Okay.
Oh, goodness. We've got,
They are doing something.
we've got calamity.
Free pass car is the 82 of Sandy Martell. So the 14, 12, and 6 are the 3 cars that are on the lead lap right now. I expect we will see a lot of these cars take the wave around. So I gotta see what happened there. I'm gonna wave around like all of these cars first that stay out here. So the 64 and the 0... Okay. So we're going to see where these guys, where the 14, 12, and 6 cycle out. How many of these cars will come to pit road after the fact? Looks like the 77 and the 5 are in. And the 88 is coming in. Oh, the 77 has a tire down. Well, that's why she's coming in. Okay, well, I guess that would do it.
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely a more than valid reason to come in.
So the 14... Yeah, the 14 is the leader, I believe. Let's see, we'll cycle it around, but yes, the 14 will be the leader, so... That's some terrible timing, really. Alright, well, we're gonna wave around like everybody. 14 cars scored as the leader. Alright, everyone. We're gonna wave around like everybody. Alrighty, there we go. There's everyone waved around. I think the 60 will actually get waved at 1 to go because, she's a lap down. Actually, no, because Lucky Dog cars stay behind the Lucky Dog cars stay behind everybody when they get waved around. So let's see what happened there. That was definitely something. So the 4 car engine goes right there. Trying to come down onto the pit in lane, and the 7 just runs right into her. 40 gets into her, and then the 31 just can't avoid. And the 31 just backs down the track right in front of the 81. Nothing Hageman could have done there, I think. I don't think there was anything the 81 could have done there. She was trying to get through it, and all of a sudden the 31 just comes down.
16.
Oh, yes. My fault. We also got to look at what happened to the 16 there under caution. Is it just a stack up? The 04 is slow here. Oh, jeez. Is the 04 slow, like, waiting for guys to go, waiting for people to pass her, or? I can't tell.
Past the 95 there.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have about 80 laps here.
Just like the first cycle, we pretty much have a bunch of new faces up front, including the 6-pack up here.
Here we go, green flag. And the 5 is really not fast.
Oh boy.
Some of these cars might get penalized because they passed the 5 before the line, but we'll see. They already got a move for the lead. 12 of Jackie Kennedy out front.
Comes a 6 as well.
64.
Oh, 64.
Passing to the inside before the start-finish line, Moriyama. Gonna get hurt from that one.
Oh boy, we got a really tight scenario there on the front straightaway. We had two cars pretty much dooring each other all the way down to the apron.
They are all over the place back here. There comes Yoko in the 0. And these cars that have just come, these top 3 that were on the lead lap, remember these cars have the freshest tires.
Well, they fired off on the wrong cylinder, but the 14 didn't really get...
Yeah, that car did not go.
They're dropping back.
Hey, here's a very interesting note as well. There's LaTanya Gray, 12th now, so she's improved. Granted, a fair bit of that is just from the pit cycle shaking out odd, but looks like Kathy Ableton Perez came to pit road for a bit of damage repair there. And Mayumi Moriyama is now 18th, 1 lap down. But she did get back out just behind the field, so if Moriyama can get another caution, I think she'll be in a good spot. I think if I'm looking at this last stop as that's going to be what settles this race, because the last pit stop, that's going to be where the money's earned. It's probably going to come with about 25 laps to go, maybe 30, something like that. Oh, the 0 is all over the 6, almost put her into the grass.
Goodness. And I definitely have to agree with you. I think, especially if this thing goes green, that final pit stop is going to be the decider of this race, especially with it probably going to be settling in at the very late stages of this one. So that's definitely going to be interesting to watch as it develops. But right now, big move down to the inside there. Ryoka, they're going to take the second spot away as Jackie Kennedy out front's probably loving this. That's letting her pull away a little bit.
Jackie Kennedy up front. We got a report from Russia on the 64. What do you got?
Yeah, I was right with the 64 crew talking about the changes they were making to the car on that last pit cycle. Right as the penalty call came in, Moriyama was not happy at all with that. She was very much complaining about the 5 being allowed to restart in the middle of the field there. She says she should have been pushed to the back of the longest line for being that slow, but her crew chief managed to calm her down on the radio, just made sure that, letting her know that there's plenty of time left and that she's only 1 lap down. And with the number of cars that are running out on track right now, the opportunity for a good finish is still very much on the table. Back to you in the booth, Echo.
Yeah, 23 cars still on the track right now, which, I mean, not a great number for attrition, but it is admittedly better than we had at Daytona last week, where we had 7 running at the end of the race, so we had about 3 times that, which I'd say is a good improvement. Lux Akuma in the 4th position. Izzy Oberman made her way up to 5th. We got Eliza Evergreen battling with the 93, and then there's Jet Brackett, Krista Anderson. Edelstein still hanging on to the top 10 in 9th right now. Brenda Davis is up into 10th. And for LaTanya Gray, she's 15th right now. Pretty solid for the 65. Pretty solid recovery after being involved in an incident earlier. I mean, same for the 35, but the 35's been running in the top 10 for quite a while, so.
calm down here throughout the field. Got everybody kind of spreading out here towards the front, but still got some moves going on as Evergreen in the 10 there is going to make their way past the 6 car there for the 4th position.
And Eliza Evergreen hasn't really shown a lot. Like, we haven't really seen much of the 10 today, so we haven't really seen much of the 10 yet, so pretty impressed with how the 10 looks here. That car, again, Evergreen won the pole at Daytona. She won the pole and won her duel at Daytona, but that's been about the highlight of her season so far. Granted, we've only had one race, but she ended up not finishing at Daytona because of the minimum speed protocol, and she's in the top 5 here, so this could be a good run for her. Fastest lap now is the NordVPN fastest lap now belongs to the 93 of Izzy Oberman. And that car is up into the 6th position. Or the 5th position, actually, because the 6 just dropped out of the top 5. But,
I talked about the 93 much at all so far today, but nice to see them kind of coming alive here in the latter half of this one.
Yeah, Izzy Oberman, daughter of former Gridiron Cup Series driver Janie Oberman. She's looking pretty fast. We're going to catch the 5 of Quentin again, who is now going to head 6 laps down here.
Weird to say that catching the 5 now without the 4 there seems kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, those two were right next to each other, and then the 4 kind of had the oopsies.
Whoops. The whoopsie daisy.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a very, we're seeing the Gulf Racing cars, the 12, Jackie Kennedy out front right now. And the caution is out. The 2 of Rachel Ramos has gone around, and they're racing to the line. Oh wow, that's why the 12 checked up.
Oh, look out!
Oh,
Oh,
Edelstein
no.
ran into the 2, trying to stay out of the way, and the 14 tried to shoot the top and could not make it work. Well, we're gonna have 65 laps to go when they pit. That's gonna be really tight on fuel.
That's gonna be pretty much about right on the number, and especially
Yeah.
considering that they pitted a little bit earlier than we expected there for that second cycle. This could get pretty interesting.
Yes, yes it will, and here comes pretty much everybody down pit road. Free pass car is the 64 of Mayumi Moriyama, so she gets the benefit. And after that penalty, she gets back on the lead lap. So we're going to see everyone come out of pit road. The 0, I think, is going to win the race out. Yes, yes, she is. Hieda Yoko gets the lead off pit road. 14 out for ignition. I think there's a bit more wrong with it than the ignition, but
I mean, yeah, I'd retire for ignition as well.
I don't know what that means.
That came out terribly. That made absolutely no sense. Whoops.
So what happened to Ramos?
Oh.
Oh, good. All these damaged cars racing back here. And the 60 just gets into the 2. The 60's been involved in like 4 accidents now. And then the 2 trying to gather it back up. The 14 just runs into her. We saw that already, though.
Ay, ay, ay.
So, yeah, unfortunate end for those 2. We're going to have, I believe, 21 cars left now. Oh, the 2's ahead of the 5 right now, at least. Sorry, I just keep checking this group chat because there's so many messages. So, I believe the lights are out. Yeah, lights are out. So we're going to go green this time. 0, 12, 66, 93, 10, 15, 82, 24, 54, 35. No lap cars in between the top 10, so nobody's getting waved around here. And for Mayumi Moriyama, remember they weren't happy about that penalty call. She's back on the lead lap, so good luck, good timing for her on that yellow. But I feel like any one of these top 10 could win this race, but I'm mostly I'm mostly worrying about, how are we gonna get, how close are these guys on fuel, if they can even make it at all? Because we saw this at Daytona last week. We saw that they were very close on fuel, but they all made it. I'm very curious as to what'll happen this week. All right, green flag's back out. Here we go. Oh, 15 really ran the 93 up.
There. And here comes a 66 with a big charge.
Here comes Jet Brackett. Trying to keep the lead for Gulf Racing. Here comes Evergreen.
Here comes Evergreen.
And they're 3 wide back
3
here.
wide.
Kennedy, Oberman, and Yoko. And Ashley Johnson's sitting behind this.
Boy, it's on now.
It is absolutely on now.
Probably know that this could potentially be the last restart of the race, so
This could be the final
time
run.
to go is now.
Yeah. And with 1 pit stop in the question marks, Ashley Johnson making moves. The driver from Wyoming. Now up into second. Here comes the 93 of Izzy Oberman. And the 24 is going to look to the inside on the 10 of Evergreen.
Here we go.
That's a move for the lead, and Johnson now out front once again. And the Uberman Enterprise cars, again, after their horrific showing last week at Daytona. 1st and 5th. Pretty strong. I mean, Casper Von Weber not in a great spot.
How about this 99 car? I believe that's Karina Willis-Callaway, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
They're up here without a rear end.
Yeah, Willis Callaway doing a great job. She got involved in that she got involved in the early incident. Whoa, the 35 was on the apron there. As the 93 is taking the lead, but Karina Willis-Callaway, what a drive she's done. They've come back from that damage to run that car up here in the top 5. Well, not top 5, but very close to the top 5.
He might
All
be
right.
about to get up into the top 5 here.
Russia, what do you got on the 99?
Yeah, we talked with the 99 team over this last caution, just talking about how they've been managing the damage on a 99 and kind of progressively fixing up bits and pieces of that car. They're pretty confident in the speed they've got now, but it is going to be a bit of a coin flip as to whether or not they can make it on fuel here. They're currently just running the numbers on it and seeing what kind of strategy that they're going to have to run for the rest of the race here. Back to the booth.
They really got close there. And wow, Karina's now up into the 4th position. What a drive she's made here. Genuinely thought her race might be over when she was involved in that incident earlier, because she backed it into the inside wall pretty good, but they have managed to keep the speed in that car. Isabella Smith now gonna try and take 2nd. Oh, the 24! What a dive bomb!
Oh boy. Well, you got the 93 kind of just holding the race lead steady for the time being, but
Yep.
these guys are kind of calming down here behind them, so we'll have to see if anybody maybe has a shot at that 93 car for the lead.
Two Isabellas are up at the front because Izzy Oberman is up here and Isabella Smith in 2nd, and then it's Ashley Johnson 3rd. But Johnson, woo, she
that was a
really,
big sin.
she sent it really hard there. Almost ran into the 15. Smith had to back off. And that might cost her a bit. Look at the 64 of Moriyama. She's up here in 8th now. That penalty she got?
Flag now back on the lead lap, and oh boy, she's looking pretty quick still.
Absolutely. She is up here and challenging maybe for a win after...
Hallelujah, up to 2nd.
Wow, Karina. Great drive by that 99. 10 and the 24 here. There's the 82. There's the 64. There's the 15. I mean, these are all drivers. Pretty much all of these drivers, I feel like, have a shot at this win. And we've seen a lot of pretty much all of them, except for the drivers in the top 2 right now. The 99 hasn't really shown very much at all. Same for the 93. Look at them. They're both up at the front. They're showing their stuff now when it matters most.
Evidently, like we often say a lot of times over on Alex's stuff, it doesn't really matter what kind of race you run, as long as you beat them at the line, that's all that counts.
Absolutely. And I mean, with how long these races are,
Yeah.
it's that's absolutely the case. You can run about 2-3 hours of one of these races and you can be in 20th the whole time, but if you're first at the end, that's all that matters, especially because we don't have any stage points or really any mid-race bonus points. But they've done a good job of keeping this race entertaining. I will be curious as to what the lead change mark is going to be, because there's been a lot of action. I don't think it's going to be anything like Kentucky, but I think I ran one Enks next race at Kentucky that had 101 lead changes. I don't know if we're going to get that, but we're going to get a pretty significant number. I feel like we're going to get more than Daytona, honestly.
We're going to get the freight train a little bit there on the outside lane.
Yeah, the 64
Still
got
not
stuck
able to
up
get
top.
down to the inside as here comes a 0. Taking a peek now down to the inside. Jackie Kennedy maybe taking a peek on the 82. We got some movement up there towards the front as Evergreen gets to the inside of Karina Wills Callaway. And maybe potentially setting their sights there on the 93 for that race lead. This could definitely get interesting here.
I mean, again, the
Cars are
93
fast.
93's looked a little bit... 93's looked like the best car in this stint, and the 93, once again, another Toyota. Akuma, Hagen, and Oberman, all Toyota drivers, and two of those three are Inverness Racing drivers, too. That 93 is an Inverness Racing car with Aaron's on it. But, Evergreen in that Chevy, not looking to let up. nor is Willis Callaway in the Honda, nor is Johnson in the Mercedes, nor is Smith in the Ford. There's 5 different manufacturers making up the top 5. I mean, you just love to see the parity. Because these manufacturers have put a lot into these programs, and it's all showing. There's Moriyama trying to get by her teammate. She will make that move stick. They're going to catch the 5 of Quinton once again. That's going to put her, I believe, 7 laps down once they do get by the 5. But, I mean, the big question here at the end is going to be, do they have enough fuel to make it to the end? I don't feel like they do, considering when they've come to pit road. It feels like they have all kind of it feels like they haven't really been stretching it, and they've only made it about 60 laps maximum on their fuel runs before. And maybe they can go a bit longer, but they still have to make it about 65 laps here at the end, and I'm not sure if they'll be able to do that.
Definitely, that's going to be the spotty part about how this race is decided. Is how long are you guys going to be able to last on this window of fuel? Well, we'll have to see if anyone does make it, but yeah, with how this final stint is playing out, I really don't know how it's going to play out.
10 is there on the 93.
Boy, right on the back bumper.
We were seeing earlier in the race that a lot of quite a bit of the time when they'd catch up to that car in front, they'd maybe just kind of check up a little bit just to not run into them. We're not seeing that anymore. They are going all out.
But here we go.
There comes Evergreen, big run on the 93. And Evergreen, I believe, is going to get it. The 93 is going to try to fight back on the outside. Managed to stay up.
Run there on the outside.
Actually managed to hold pretty well on the outside, but I think the 10's going to get it here in 3 and 4. Yes.
Yes. These two going side by sides. Let Johnson and Callaway kind of close in a little bit.
And same for the 15 of Isabella Smith. And Oberman now dropping back behind Eliza Evergreen. 185 laps complete here from Nashville Super Speedway. We have 41 laps to go. Now, when they used to run Xfinity races here, it was a 225 lapper, which is just short of 200, which was just short of 300 miles. AWSCO, we go all the way. We go 300 miles and a little bit extra, so this is a 226 lapper. We gave them 1 extra lap. Because we're just nice like that. Curious here as to...
where everyone will say, just one more lap. Just one more lap, they could have got him. Well, guess what? We gave you one more.
We've given them 1 more lap. And that might end up being what decides it here, considering our fuel mileage situation at the moment.
Yeah.
I think these guys are single filing out, and I think especially you want to single file out here just because you want to start saving fuel now. Because this race is looking like it's going to go green to the end, barring something absurd happening. I think you want to start saving fuel, start lining up, just try and pick up a little bit of draft off those cars in front of you, and really just try and not push it at this point. 93 is staying right on the 10, but...
A bit of a check up there from the 93.
Yeah, the 93 has kind of been staying behind the 10. Hasn't really been pushing it like we saw the 10 pushing it on her earlier.
Maybe potentially, like you said, trying to save a little bit.
Well, I don't think she's saving now.
As soon as I say that.
Here goes Oberman back for the lead. We're gonna catch another lapper. I believe that's the 60 of Wilson. And Oberman gets the lead back. But for how long? Because the 10's gonna dive it right back down.
Not very long.
And Oberman does lead the lap. So this is definitely going to be good enough for 2 lead changes. So add two more to that lead change marker. Already 6 to go.
I'm going to get by the 60 here without any major issues.
Yep. I guess another point of contention, there's only barely been one time, really, we've seen a lap car particularly cause a stack-up. Outside of that, the lap cars have been pretty respectful, which is a good sight.
Honestly, a pretty nice breath of fresh air considering how lap cars can be on this game.
Oh, absolutely. Brenda Davis in the 8th position, pretty solid running for her. We're curious about how the point standings look. I mean, the top 3 in points coming into this race are all out of the race. Top 5, actually. The highest driver in points that's still in the race right now is the 38 of Isabella Fitzmaurice, who's running in 12th. They are side by side. I completely missed the 93, took the lead back, and the 24 is going to try to get second. I will say, DEI number 24 is still very, very jarring.
I'm going to talk about the Red Bull 99.
Oh, true. I mean, that's a real number.
That is true, yeah.
We're in with, what's his name? Cole Witt.
Yeah. Cole Witt, my goat.
That's true. 10 and 24 still fighting here. Oh, the 10 gets into the 24. They hung on to it. And I don't think the 24 is particularly happy with the 10 for that. Not giving her a lot of room right now. But the 10 looks like a fast car at the moment. I think the 10's just a bit antsy to try to get around this 24. Now the 10 will try to make the pass cleanly. And I believe she'll get it. And hey, look at that. The 64, Moriyama, caught back up to this group. We've got a bit of a split in this between this group and the rest of these cars. The 6 just got by the 54. See if that position holds like that. 64's caught up to this group, and she's actually looking to get by the 15. She just got past the 12 of Kennedy. We're about to hit the big 200. And that lap 200 mark, it's anyone's game, I think.
Especially with that looming potential of another pit stop.
Yeah.
It could still be anybody's race up to this point.
Another pit stop question mark.
Yeah.
Because we're not sure. We're not really sure on how much they can make it on fuel.
And here we go again.
There goes the 10 to the inside. I wonder if some of these guys have kind of just accepted that they don't have enough fuel to make it. Maybe that might be why we're seeing some racing here. That might be what the 64 is going for, because the 64 has really been pushing her way through.
The only real detriment to that is there's always that looming thought at the back of your mind. What if somebody by miraculously does?
Yeah, what if someone's actually able to make it work? And,
But it's what's so interesting about these
oh,
fuel mileage finishes. You never really you never know what's going to happen.
well, we got a report from Russia on the Zero car. What do you got on Yoko?
Yeah, speaking of fuel strategy, the Zero team here thinks that they might be able to stretch the fuel and make it, but they're gonna have to conserve we're gonna have to conserve quite a bit of fuel here. They think most of these cars think they're not gonna be able to make it. They're just gonna try to sprint it to the finish, or to the splash and dash. But I think the Zero team thinks they're in a position where they might be able to do something without having to take a final pit stop here. Back to you, Echo.
Very interesting to note. If they make it to the end, they're gonna be on fumes. Like some of these cars, if they make it to the end, they're gonna be really struggling to. They're gonna be really struggling. I think a fair bit of these cars, especially these guys that are kind of lagging in this back part of the field. I think these cars are kind of trying to conserve a little more than these cars up front. Maybe these cars up front just trying to push it a little bit. We're going to catch another lapper, the 25 of Ableton Perez. I mean, for Ableton Perez, I guess like another thing, I will shout out the 25, the 60, and the 5. Zoe Quinn hasn't been very fast all race, involved in that early incident, but she's done a good job of keeping herself on the track, not getting into any more incidents, and the best thing about Quinn, she's still going to finish 21st. Like, maybe it's 8 laps down, but she's still going to finish, she's still going to get some decent points out of this and turn what would have been a bad day into something that is at least a little bit respectable.
Yeah, 21st is 21st.
93 has taken the lead. But yeah, it doesn't matter how you get them. It just matters that you get them. And the 24 gave the 10 a bit of a punt there. That might have been a little retaliation for what happened earlier.
If we're getting this late in the going, definitely don't want to start beef now.
No, you don't.
As this late in the going, one flick of the wheel can completely ruin competitor's race.
Just so tight between everyone here. 64 up in a 5th now from Moriyama. I will point out as well for the 64, she pitted a couple laps after everybody else did, so she might have a little bit more in the tank than these top 4. Maybe.
Very good point.
Yeah. So Moriyama.
Maybe that's why she's been able to push it.
Luck of the draw by getting that free pass. She was able to pit about a couple laps later than everybody else, and able to. She's able to get up to the front here now. '99 of Willis Calloway gonna get 3rd now from Evergreen.
I'm still shocked as 99's able to keep pace with all these guys.
Yeah, and they've done a really good job repairing that car with the damage on it, and how big of a chunk is missing from the quarter panel, but also like the whole rear end, the whole bumper being off that car is pretty impressive. What she's been able to do. Like, that car is clearly not in the greatest spot aero-wise, but doing a great job holding on. 208 laps complete here from Nashville. Just about, I gotta pull up my calculator because I actually forgot how many laps there are to go. 17 laps to go.
Inside 20
Or
here.
18 laps to go, excuse me. It'll be
Callaway
17
back
once
down
they
to the
cross the line.
inside.
Yeah, 99. Trying to get that spot back from Evergreen. She's gonna get it. Pretty steadfastly too. 64 might take 4th from Evergreen here as well. The 15 and the 12 just kind of backed off this group. And it's going to be borderline. I think for some of these cars that we think can't make it, I think you're going to start seeing them come in within the next 5 to 10 laps. If these cars can't make it, I think they're going to try and pit a little bit earlier and cut their losses. But for those that think they can make it, they're going to try and get all the way to the end, I think. Cara Reynolds in the 95. Pretty solid run, 14th. After kind of just running around middling all day, she's done a pretty solid job to finish this one out. And there's the 64 going by the 99. Moriyama up to 3rd. If you're Ashley Johnson or Izzy Overman, see that 64 coming, do you think you want to let her go? Because clearly the 64 is pushing it. Do you let that car go and try to save a little, or are you kind of in the water at this point?
Honestly, it's kind of hard telling because, of course, you want to try to keep that 64 behind because you know they probably have a little bit more fuel, but at the same time, there's really not much you can do about that either.
Yeah.
Well, they got passed there by Evergreen and Callaway. He's going to fall back down into the fifth position.
There's Latanya Gray gaining spots. Up to 13th now. Cara Reynolds actually in 10th now. I shouted her out on the wrong lap.
It's up there for Reynolds. I believe they also finished top 10 last race at Daytona as well.
I believe she did.
So
I'm not sure if she finished the race, but yeah, she finished 9th, but she did not finish the race. But only 7 cars finished that race, so.
Well, for back-to-back top 10s, this could be good for Reynolds here to open out the season.
If she can finish, hold on to this one, I mean, that would be very solid for her. Great way to start out the year. And we go to another short track next week. We go to Nazareth in the Continental Series.
Oh boy.
We have reached our Windows 11 to go from Nashville Superspeedway, and it's anyone's guess as to who's going to win this one. We got fuel mileage at play here. We got tons of action on track, but right now it's the 93 of Izzy Overman out in front. Eliza Evergreen, Ashley Johnson, Karina Willis Callaway, and Mayumi Moriyama all within a second of the lead at the moment. I guess the 64 was scored just over a second out, but it counts. Izzy Oberman, daughter of Janie Oberman, already a racing legacy with them and with her, and I think she's looking to continue it here in the AWSCO Continental Series.
Kind of just spread out now in a line, probably just trying to draft with each other.
At this
maybe
point,
have a chance at saving enough.
At this point, yeah. Feel like this is where we get to peak fuel save territory. Really trying to just keep behind, but if you're the 93, I don't know if you want to be out front. That's not saving any fuel, really. You're burning the most fuel when you're punching that hole.
Entered the corner a little bit high there.
Entered the corner a little high, but the 10 and 24 didn't do anything with it. I'm going to catch the 5 again. The 8 car, who's in front of them, is pitting. The 8 was kind of off the lead lap, very off pace anyways. So 54 is in.
54
Brenda Davis
in.
can't make it.
Oh boy. And so it begins.
So it begins. Just about 7 laps to go, and who's gonna make it? All of the top 5 staying out for now. think the 93 tried to get a little bit of a draft on the 5 here. And we got 6 to go now. 55 just came in.
Got more in 55.
How many of these cars are going to make it? 24.
Oh,
24.
24 is running out.
24
I
is
think.
in. 24 is in.
24 's
Ashley
touching
Johnson
down.
cannot make it.
It is on now. Did anybody up here save enough?
Yeah. Seen cars at the front come to pit road now, so it's going to depend on who has saved. 95 just came in. 38 is in. 15 is in. 93 and 10 are still on track.
They're staying out. So is Callaway in the 64. I think Jackie Kennedy back there is also staying out.
Believe so. They were pitting, would they be on the apron? Oh no, the
Nope,
12 is
might have
in.
lied.
You might have lied. 66, 82, 6, 65, 25 are all in. Can anyone make it? 93's coming in.
Here comes our leaders.
64's
And
staying out.
Callaway, 64 is going to stay out. We know they've got a little bit more in the tank. Could that be enough to potentially bring him home?
0's in. They couldn't make it. 35 is in.
I believe at this point the 64 might be the only car left on track that hasn't hit.
I think maybe so. And she's coming in.
Oh, and she's coming in. She couldn't make it.
Nobody's going to make it. So it's going to be late stops. So
It's
what's
gonna
the
come
race
down to
out?
the pit stops.
It's going to come down to the race out here. 93, 10. I'm watching these two. As long as well as the 99, the 93 wins the race out of those 3. But there was one other car that was with that pitted a little bit earlier, the 24 of Johnson.
Johnson's gonna probably get close.
Johnson's going to cycle out
Boy,
in 3rd. Huh?
That was also 93.
there goes the
There's the 64.
Not
She's
gonna
not
get
going
the
to
lead.
cycle out ahead. 2 laps to go. And it's Izzy Oberman out front. And we made it through a pit cycle without a yellow. Big achievement. White flag is out. 1 lap to go for Izzy Oberman. Trying to get the first win for Inverness Racing and the first win of her young career in the Continental Series.
What a drive this has been for that team, and you know what? The driver absolutely performed spectacular today, and so did the pit crew. This is going to be a very earned win there for that team.
Caution is out. The 66 has
Somebody
blown
has
up,
Blown up.
but it does not matter. Izzy Oberman wins at the Nashville Superspeedway. And a stellar run from everyone here as Oberman, Evergreen, Johnson, Moriyama, Willis Callaway, the top 5. Then it's Kennedy, Davis, Yoko, Reynolds, and Martell making up the top 10. 2 straight 9th place finishes for Cara Reynolds. I'm sure you like to see that.
You know what? Let her cook.
I think the 5 actually made it to the finish on fuel.
Wow. All right.
Wow. Hey, saved her a lap. Of course, she was only 9 laps down. I mean, why not go for it, I guess.
15.
Like
So the 15 and the
kinda got involved in that.
66. Yeah, I believe the
Maybe
15 and the
12.
66. The 66 had an engine issue. That's Chip Brackett.
Man, that's tough. I think both those guys were in contention for a top 10 finish.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh.
that's what happened to the 5.
Oh.
And the 66, I think, blew up completely independently. Yeah.
Oh,
66 would have been 10th actually. What happened?
what?
What? Oh.
Oh,
15 turns the 5 down the infield. And the 5 just apparently became a heat-seeking missile. That's awesome.
all right. The missile knows where it is at all times because it knows where it isn't.
That brought out the caution, but I mean, these guys were already racing back to the line. Well, alright. Sure, why not?
Evergreen actually got kind of close there.
Yeah. Just that 8-car bit was in the way, and...
Yeah.
First ever win for Inverness Racing. That's a team that's just come into existence for AWSCO. And, well, you can tell they have a very good program. You can already tell that. Okay, the replay saved. I don't know why it hung like that, but whatever.
Sure.
So, yeah, there's your results on the left of your screen. I'm going to report to you the lead changes now because I think that will be very interesting. Where is it? There's the export right there. We had 40 lead changes, so more than Daytona,
All right.
at Nashville Superspeedway. So, all right, what a race, and I'm gonna throw it to Rasha for the post-race show, but Caleb, you can join in as well for that. Rasha, what did you think of that one?
It's great to see that we met our bowling quota for the week with that last wreck there. That was certainly unexpected, but the race as a whole was very, very nice, I think. We had really good racing on both the short and long runs there. And I think it's a little bit surprising to see basically everyone not make it on field, but at least that made it so that everyone had the same strategy and then there wasn't any, any kind of surprises really at the end. It was just mostly just a matter of which pit crew could get the job done the best. And in the end, it was the 93 Izzy Oberman for Inverness Racing that prevailed. But yeah, solid last run. Had quite a few cars that definitely surprised us, I think, with especially the 99 of Karina Willis Calloway with that nursing home that damaged car through to a top 5. Very impressive run. You had good runs for Gulf Racing as well. The 64 of Mayumi Moriyama also had a nice recovery there. Caleb, you there?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I mean, you were in the booth for the entirety of this race. What did you think of the events that transpired before us today?
Yeah, that was a super fun race. Like you said, we had a lot of great, chaotic, but awesome racing there. Under the short runs, had a lot of passing, and then over the course of the long runs, of course, you had a lot of very interesting and strategic racing going on. It was a lot of fun here from the Nashville Superspeedway. A lot of great racing, a lot of great strategy, and in the end, just an absolutely spectacular race. And congratulations to Izzy Oberman for getting the win here today. Like I said, that was a great drive there by the driver and just about a flawless execution there from the pit crew.
Yeah. We mentioned the 38 of Isabella Fitzmaurice recovering from that early mech fail, but the 6 of Lux Akuma also did the same thing. Finished just 2 positions behind in 13th place and on the lead lap as well. So a decent recovery for the 6 team. Probably not what they were looking for after dominating that early run, but nevertheless, a good haul of points for the Valvoline team. And and Latanya Gray as well. I'd say a rare instance of an incident where Latanya didn't exactly was involved in an incident of basically not of her own making, basically. I thought she would have been pretty much done at the end of that, but she managed to not only stay out racing there, but finish on the lead lap as well. Good, I think good recovery by the 65 as well. But I think she'll be getting a little bit tired of getting into everyone else's problems. I think that's 2 races so far. That's 2 incidents she's been part of, and I don't think either of them have been her fault.
Yeah, I think I see a bit of a confrontation going on over there at the 35 pit stall.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was one either. Yeah, Zoe Quinton had definitely had an interesting race. She ran, I think, most of the race about 5 laps down. I don't think getting into an early incident like that and having to drive home a car with about 6 cylinders and 3 wheels home for about 95% of the race was exactly part of the plan. But on the other hand, she managed to finish almost at the top half of the field because of that. Again, I was going to say, we'll conveniently ignore whatever happened at the end there. That was a little bit bizarre. But otherwise, it was a very clean race from Quinton.
Yeah, she pretty much about raced everybody cleanly all day, and pretty much the one time she got pushed around, she was not afraid to retaliate.
I think she was, at that point, I think she was
I
just
respect
tired.
that, I guess.
I think she knew she was locked into her position at that point and just...
Yeah, I think she just decided, you know what? At this point, what else could go wrong?
We have radio transmission from the 5 seconds before the accident saying, "You know what would be funny? It would be so awesome. It would be so cool."
So a very fun race. I actually quite enjoyed that. Caleb, what did you think of that one? Just like in terms of the racing product that we saw on track.
Yeah, that was a spectacular race. Like I said, there was a lot of passing going on, and just a lot of great racing all around. And like I kind of mentioned earlier, in the short runs, it was very chaotic, but saw a lot of action, a lot of passing, and in the long runs, it was very strategic, very interesting to see how everybody was settling in on those long runs. Field window as well, that just made it all the much more interesting. And yeah, just overall, great race here from Nashville. That was a very fun one, and I'm happy to have been up here in the booth for that one.
I'm glad you were here. All right, so tomorrow we'll be back from Calder Park in Australia. It's going to be a little bit warmer there. I think it's in the 90s this weekend, so...
Just a bit.
I'll see you then. On behalf of Rasha, Eddie, and Caleb, I'm Echo. Thank you guys for watching the AWSCO Snapdragon Continental Series. We'll see you next time.